Please describe how XRP will be used with the DTCC, even though other networks like Canton will be heavily used. So Canton's token is a governance token. It's how you pay fees on that network. It doesn't settle value. So Canton, Ondo, Securitize, and there are many other networks and protocols out there for the tokenization of stocks. So people think that the network that the assets are tokenized on is also going to provide the back-end settlement, which may end up being the case. Canton was formed in 2023. You've got some, people involved in that project that are more of a pump and dump type investor. We've seen, that correlation happen with other projects that they've invested in. I'm not saying that Canton is a pump and dump. That obviously has real world utility. There are people that are looking to use that network. I'm just saying that the people that have invested in it, aside from the DTCC, tend to be correlated with those types of investments in the past. Does that mean this one is that way? Absolutely not. It just means you should be aware of those things. Okay. Now, for XRP in particular, I believe that Project Ion, which was finalized in August of 2022, is going to be what's used to settle the back end of the stock market. So tokenization per exchange, whether that's NASDAQ or NYSE or any of the other 14 exchanges that settle stocks, Robinhood and many others are tokenizing stocks. Just because they tokenize on one network doesn't mean they're going to use that token to settle the transactions between the DTCC, which is what coordinates settlement between clearinghouses and the brokers. Project Ion is what will do that. That was developed by the DTCC directly with R3. That's been running for 3 years, almost 4 years, in the background, ready to go. So the primary settlement mechanism for R3 is, you guessed it, XRP. And if you'll remember, one of the credentials that I did mention earlier is that I am business quota certified. So I've been through all of their stuff in order to be able to do that. And we've worked with R3 on other projects that I can't talk about, but I can talk about other things that they've done that are publicly available for you to go look up if you would like to. So all that being said, highly confident that XRP, if there's enough liquidity, and XRP will be used to be able to settle the back end of the stock market using Project Ion and the DTCC, irrespective of which networks or which tokens are used to tokenize the stocks themselves. Now, the multi-purpose token on the XRPL allows for stocks to be issued directly on the XRPL. You also got Ondo settling their treasuries to the XRPL through multiple exchanges. So again, back-end settlement, pretty confident, ends up right there. Once the reverse carry trade unwinds and we see a large dip in the market and Bitcoin, do you think XRP will dip before it takes off? There's going to be volatility. That's all I know. Does it go down? Does it go up? Or could you buy more? Look, here's how I talk about this. Okay, and this is how I think about it too. Because I dollar cost average just like everybody else. Are you really going to be mad if you bought XRP at $1.30 or 90 cents? $1.40 or $1? $1.40 or 50 cents? If you bought Bitcoin at either one of those prices, do you really think you care? You don't. You don't care. You don't think about, I wish I had got it just a little bit cheaper. I would have had a little bit more. You got hundreds of millions of dollars. You don't care. So people that are, worried about buying the dip or getting the best price or this, that, and the other, we're building a product for that at DWP. Okay, we're working with Arch Lending to be able to average into the market with your cash position there to be able to trade off of candles and get you the best price over whatever period, if that's your biggest concern. But for me, personally, I don't think it's going to matter a whole lot. And I know people, that could be a big difference if you had $100,000 to deploy, at $1.40 versus $1. Look, it is. I get it. But when XRP is worth $100,000 or $1 million, you're not going to care. You're going to have more money than you know what to do with. And as long as you understand capital preservation, you have a mission statement, core values, principles, you set up your family office, you're working with good professionals, you've done things the right way, you understand insurance and trusts and taxes and all the other fun stuff, it's not going to matter how much you got. Your family's going to be set for multiple generations. And you know, thinking about like, well, I'm going to wait for the dip, you could miss the whole thing if you're waiting for the dip. And that would be a much bigger mistake than just dollar cost averaging in. So maybe you leave 10%, 20%, 30% for the dip that we may or may not see. Highly recommend that you have some allocation before this thing goes. Because I have these same thoughts. I'm like, well, you know, maybe I could get a little bit more if I wait for the dip. I've been here too long. I've played that game too many times. You just look at the people that, you know, didn't buy it at 50 cents in November of 2024 before it took off, and then bought it at 70 or $1 or $2 or $3 and where they're at now, because they didn't want to buy it at 50 cents because they thought it was going to 30. That's going to happen again. So again, not to get preachy or get on a soapbox, I've seen this happen to too many people, and it irks me. And I've done it myself, so I'm trying to, you know, help you guys not make the same mistakes.